Next is parameters with reference lines. So parameters gives us a way to dynamically modify a reference line, band, or box. For example, instead of showing a reference line at a fixed location on the axis, we can reference a parameter. So then we can use the parameter control to move the reference line. A list of parameter is available in the value drop-down list in the add reference line, band, or dialog box. Select the parameter we want to use out of these four. Create a parameter, show the parameter control, and add the reference line. Adjust the color on either side of the reference line, and this will give us the final output for parameters as a reference line. So I'll show you this implementation of one of the parameters and how we can use parameters to make our visualization dynamic. Parameters. Next, what I'll do is I'll find the order date. I'll bring it to columns and I'll plot it against sum of sales. Like we know, it will obviously give us a line graph, but this is not that descriptive. We need a descriptive line graph. So how to do that? We can either choose one of these continuous values, or we can use more to set up our custom range. So when I clicked on more, I am getting this dialog box right here. In the detail, it is given as years. That is this year that we have right now. So instead of that, if I give this month per year, then this will show me the month for every year in my graph, like this. So right now, because the chart is small, it's giving 2 months. Yeah. So now we have our month for every year chart, right? So next what we are going to do is create a parameter. So we'll go here in this arrow and click here, and this is the create parameter tab. I'll click on this. It takes some time. Yeah, okay. So I'll give this the name of sales parameter. Then because the sales data type is of integer, I'll set that data type as integer. Displays format should be 1. 1 means automatic, so it's fine. The current value will be set to 0. Okay, and what is this? Current value. Yeah, value when the workbook reopens, that will be also be equal to current value. And then I'll give this allowable values as range. What this will do is it will allow me to set a range of minimum or maximum, and you'll see why I'm doing all of this once this process is done. So the minimum will be given as 0, the maximum will be given as 100, and the step size I'll give it as, let's say, 10. All right. So what I have done here is that I have set the data type as integer. I've set the current value as 0. And this value when the workbook is equal to current value, which will be equal to 0. So every time the workbook opens, the value will be equal to 0. And then I've set a range, and the minimum range is 0, the maximum range is 100, and the step size I've given as 10. So now I'll finally click on OK. And as you can see, under a different section called parameters, my sales parameter has been made. So what do I need to do next? I need to create a calculated field for it again. So I'll name it as sales field, and then I'll type in here sales multiplied by parameter by 100 bracket close plus 1. Okay, so what this calculated field is doing is, I'll explain it to you now. It will take the sales field of a particular value. Suppose it's taking the sales field of January. So then it will take the sales field of January, and then it will, whatever sales parameter has been set for that moment, it will multiply the sales field by that. But before that, it will divide it by 100 and add it by with 1. So if you might know, this formula is for increasing the value of a particular number by given percentage. So like if I've given a value of 10 here, so that means this value will yield to the result of 1.1. So 1.1 into 100, that is supposed to be my sales value, will result to the value of 110. And this is exactly what this formula is doing. It will take the sales value, which is 100, and then the sales parameter that has been set to 10, it will be divided by 100 and then added with 1, which will give us the value of 1.1. And then 1.1 when multiplied by 100 will give us the result of 110. That means it is increasing the current sales value by 10%. So now this calculated field is valid. I'll click on apply and I'll click on OK. So my sales field has been created. So the next step that I need to do is go to this parameter, and then if I click on this box here, it will show me show parameter control. So right now, as you can see, we have got a parameter value right here. It is a slider, and this is what the current value of 0 was. Okay, and the minimum value that has been set to 0 is this 0. Like whenever the slider opens, the minimum value has been set to 0, and when the slider is taken here, the maximum value is 100. So this is what I was configuring back then. The minimum value was 0, the maximum value was 100, and when the slider opened, when this worksheet opened, the current value was set to 0. So it will always start with 0. And the step size that I give as 10, it is for this particular arrow button. When I click on this, every result will be incremented by 10. So now if it is 20, if I click on this again, it will be 30. If I click back, it will be 20 again. So this was the step count. Okay. So the next thing that I need to do here is using this parameter in my visualization. So for that, what will I do? So yeah, right here, as you can see, we have something called as measure name. I guess there was no, yeah, measure values. So what I need to do is drop this measure values into my details. I guess it was here. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. So this measure values that I have taken, that is there since forever in our set. This measure values is a sum of, like, it's a set of all these values that are present here. If I drop this measure values into my rows, it has plotted a value for all the measures. Like all the measure values are now present in our data set. So what we need to do is remove everything, like remove everything, but only keep the sum of our calculated field and the sum of our sales. So I'll start deleting them one by one. Yeah, so right now I have just two measure values right here. The sum of the sales calculated field that I have created and the sum of sales. Okay, so after this, let's see what happens if I adjust my slider. Both of them start to, you know, uh, like these two values start to diverge from each other. So what is happening right here is that what we have done is this particular value. Suppose for the month of November 2020, the sales is 78,827. I've provided the sales parameter as 40. So what is happening here is it is telling me that what will be the value of this particular value if I have incremented it by 40%, and it is showing me the sales field as 1,15,739. So this is nothing but how we have made our this line graph dynamic. So as we keep increasing this slider, this sales parameter, this lower value always remains the same. It is this higher value that gets adjusted according to the parameter that we have set so far. So it is giving me this value, like whatever this previous value was, it is adding 70% to it, and it is displaying me this line. And this same goes for this entire line. This entire line is an addition of in 70% extra to our original value. And this is what the use of parameters are. It is to make our charts more dynamic. So yeah, this is what parameters are.